All right, guys, we alluded to this in our last episode of The Left Wing, but I think it's time to start talking about Trump again. And the reason we've talked about Trump in the electoral sense, especially when talking about, who's going to be the Republican primary winner, et cetera, et cetera. It's going to be Trump, right? But the rhetoric coming out of Trump, and I know it's never been pretty. We've never liked the rhetoric coming out of Trump, but it's getting to the point where it's like, hey guys, he's kind of just verbatim saying he's going to do the fascism, and we should probably start paying attention to when the guy who we've all thought would become a fascist dictator is just straight up saying, yeah, no, I'm going to abuse my presidential power. And I'm not exaggerating here. He was in a town hall moderated by his good friend Sean Hannity, and Sean Hannity gave him the easiest curveball in the world. You cannot you cannot give a presidential candidate an easier curveball than this. And listen, I'll read the exchange here. Hannity asked Trump, under no circumstances you are promising America tonight you would never abuse power as retribution against anybody. And Trump replies. Now, the obvious answer is no, right? Like we all know the right answer to this question is no. Even if you're lying, you're supposed to answer this question as no. And Trump says, except for day one, I want to close the border and I want to drill, drill, drill. And Hannity goes, he was supposed to say no. I'm gonna try this again. He says, that's not retribution. And Trump replies, I love this guy. You're not going to be a dictator, are you? I said no, 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 other than day one. We're closing the border and we're drilling, drilling, drilling. After that, I'm not a dictator. Like
Oh my God.
he didn't even have to say the word dictator to describe himself. And it wasn't even part of the question asked to him. And he volunteered that he wishes to be a dictator, but only on day one. We know the rich history of dictators traditionally giving up their power after one day of having it. And I want to throw this out to the room. Like, is this like I have said on the record that, like, I don't think it's fucking serious to worry about this because this is the team that brought you 4 seasons landscaping. But the fact that he's so adamant about calling himself a dictator, I am starting to get a little worried that if he wins, significantly bad things could happen.
So Trump said it because there's really no downside for him to saying it. That's the part that we have to come to grips with, that anyone who at this point is considering voting for Trump, hearing that won't move them at all, because the people who love Trump have like a yearning for, a strong man, like, the shaved ape part of humanity, where it's like the person who's the loudest and the most obnoxious and who says they're going to take charge, they fall behind. Like it's a common sentiment among the American right wing. Like, it actually is fascist. But what's funny is that they can't say that out loud. They can't say, well, some of them do. I've heard plenty of them say that, yeah, it would be great if Trump was, a dictator. But the majority of them would say either, oh, he's just joking. Trump, he's always telling jokes. He's not a serious guy. Odd thing to joke about, but that's what they would say. Or they say, well, maybe he does mean it, and like he's going to use like a short period of time to like crack down and actually establish the law, and then he's going to be like fucking Cincinnatus and retire, and give up his dictatorial power. And it's like that's. But John, I'm with you in that I don't take it quite as, I mean, I do take it seriously, but I'm not quite as worried about it, not because I don't think Trump would want to do it, but because, I mean, archaic as they are and flimsy as they are, the customs and traditions of our American system don't really work well for something like that. And the best example, honestly, is January 6th, because Trump did try to, overturn the election and stay in power. But the systems that were in place that we had didn't cooperate. There was no chance the military was going to cooperate. There was no chance, Capitol Police were going to cooperate. There was no chance, like even the Department of Justice, the Attorney General wasn't going to cooperate. And yeah, he can put people in there that like him or whatever. But when you're individuals like that actually do the work of this program, actually believe in the sanctity of American traditions, like to their core, like way more than we do, even. Like they actually believe that. So having a guy who obviously lost trying to, keep himself in power was never going to work. It wasn't. And Trump tried everything he could. Even like people like Mike fucking Pence didn't go along with it. Bill Barr didn't go along with it. General Miley didn't go along with it. And Trump can put lackeys in place all he wants, but when it comes to like moving large systems like that and trying to establish a dictator, I don't think it would actually work. Now he can do an incredible lot of amount of damage. Presidents do have a lot of a power that is unchecked in a lot of ways, but like as far as Trump becoming Caligula, I don't see that happening.
I feel like Trump is a real threat to our democracy. I'm not confident in his ability to get elected exactly
No.
because like John said, that they're a bunch of buffoons. But if they do get elected, it could very well mean the destruction of our democracy or the little bit of democracy we have left in this country. I'm assuming you guys have heard of the 2025 project.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Too much.
Yeah, that's probably the biggest thing in my mind that would actually give Trump the power to become a real deal dictator, because the majority of the 2025 project is to essentially dissolve the complexities of the executive branch and consolidate power around Donald Trump, and then do other things like stack the Supreme Court with more conservative judges, create groundwork in lower and state levels to essentially give Trump a small conservative military in the other branches and slowly wear away at the ability for checks and balances. That is a very real threat. And people that are thinking like, oh, Trump gets elected, it's going to be just like the Bush term all over again. Not a big deal. We'll rebound from it. In my mind, it's just like reading back during Nazi Germany, where you had these liberal politicians saying like, they might have won this time, but we'll win next time, and then they got executed. Donald Trump is an existential threat. And I think that we need to acknowledge that for what it is. And him just blatantly saying this shit in an interview saying, oh yeah, are you going to be a dictator? No, 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 other than day one, because day one's all he's going to need. After day one, he dissolves the executive branch. He's American dictator now. That's all he needs. So
See, this is where this is genuinely like you guys are watching John Cooper developing a new opinion, because like I have been really going back and forth on this one, because I think that it is very possible. I think we have a very scary set of circumstances where we have a president in place who most Americans don't like. I believe he has a 37% approval rating right now. He's 80 fucking years old and could die at any point between now and next November. So could Trump, to be fair. But like there is a non-zero situation in which we're sitting here in September and Joe Biden dies and Donald Trump becomes president by default,
Mm-hmm.
and that would be very bad. And even then, though, I go, well, could he actually, like, that's hard to do, Roy. Like, as much as it's possible, it's very hard to do. And again, I can't emphasize this enough. They booked a very important speech at Four Seasons Landscape. I don't think that the team that did that can pull off the 2025 project. Now, could people around him manipulate him correctly? Yes. But I just genuinely don't think Donald Trump's heart is in the dictator thing. I think he likes it in concept, but really doesn't give a shit about anything. And like, it's just gonna make it hard for him to like actually do the work it takes to become a dictator. I could be wrong. And it's not something worth rolling the dice on, but it is something I really just in my fundamental heart of hearts, I don't believe Trump could pull it off, even if given the specific directions on how to do it.
You could very well be right. and I could be exaggerating things, but on the same thread, you never know. I mean, do you think the people in pre-Nazi Germany thought that Hitler was actually going to take power?
Yeah,
He was grossly unpopular. He didn't even win the election. He was handed his power by the Liberal Party because they were being, there was false flags and all kinds of other historical things involved in that. But Hitler was also in a very similar position where he was extremely unpopular, had extremely inflammatory rhetoric, and people didn't take him seriously. And sure enough, he still committed the atrocities that he did and dissolved the democracy of the Weimar Republic and turned it into what we now know as Nazi Germany.
I think, though, that a key distinction that John brought up, which is very important, that, look, say what you want about Hitler's inner circle, it was full of competent politicians and like military leaders. That cannot be said about Donald Trump. Like Stephen Miller, Steve Bannon, like these folks are clowns. And the Project 2025 things, yeah, like the recommendations and their goals or whatever, it's not wildly different from what Republicans try to do anyway. Like it's not. Like it's like that's what they try to do all the time. And we saw what happened in Trump's first 4 years. Chaos. Like he fired people every 9 minutes. No one trusted anyone. Nothing got done. And yeah, well, and I'm not trying to like dismiss the idea that Trump could cause a lot of damage, but Trump kind of exposed the fact that a lot of our institutions in Washington operate basically on gentlemen's agreements, like on backslaps and handshakes, which is kind of fucked up, but that's true. And so Trump would defy those all the time. But the fact that those institutions are so ingrained and the people who are there actually believe in it make it very difficult to just, overhaul these on a whim. So yeah, it is possible, but once again, Roy, I do agree with you too that Trump's chances of being elected are very low. I know everybody's worried because Biden's numbers, and I just like all the indicators that I've seen, from the past couple of years. I'm not super worried. The best case scenario, or the scenario that guarantees Trump's election, is what John mentioned. Like if Biden dies anytime over the next year, which there is at least a decent possibility, then I think Trump would probably win. But barring that, I don't think he'll even get the opportunity in it. What do you think, EK?
As far as what Trump said, there was like an Onion article back in like 2016 where the headline was something like, "Man says for the 11th time, that's it. After he said that, that's it. His political career is done. He's not going to be able to be president," or anything like that. And like I can't even remember what ridiculous
it was
to trigger that
like
one.
We've got Donnie there's no way Donnie can get out of this situation. I guess he did.
Like the 6th, 7th, 12th time or something ridiculous. But it's like, I mean, it's not surprising. It's not out of character for him. He wanted to be dictator in chief like the first time that he was president, and he spent his entire presidency realizing that he could in fact not be dictator in chief, that there were checks and balances and everything blocking him from doing some of the stuff that he wanted to do. And even when he did some of the stuff he wanted to do, like that got rolled back, like not almost instantaneously. And so it's the people that like it's not going to change. It's not going to like shock anybody out of voting for him. The people that want to vote for him are already like going to vote for him regardless of what he says. Like the thing where he said he could shoot somebody in the face on the street in front of all the cameras and people would still vote for it, it's true. Like that just has an ingrained base of people. So it's like, so you can be like, I mean, he is in a position that like several politicians just idolize. We just say whatever the hell he wants to say and it's not going to hurt his numbers. Like, and so that's just what you see him doing. As far as like, if the nightmare scenario happens and he gets elected, yeah, that's some stuff to worry about. However, like, I mean, there are so few people that want to work for him, and the people that do are wildly incompetent. His own lawyer forgot to check the box to have a trial by jury.
Yes.
And he went out and complained, like, I didn't get a trial by jury. You hired an incompetent fucking asshole. And the only reason that you could hire that incompetent asshole is because you have a long history of not paying your attorneys. Like, that's why you get like fucking Rudy Giuliani losing all his goddamn hair color and shit out in front of Four Seasons Landscaping. It's because like nobody wants to actually work with you. Like, people do want to use you. Like, and the other thing is, unlike Hitler, like Trump, like is extremely self-centered, like extremely thin.
Wait, I'm sorry. I disagree with the unlike Hitler
Okay,
part
okay.
of that sentence.
All right, I'll roll that one back. I will concede that one. But Trump is extremely thin-skinned, extremely self-centered, and he cares way too much about what people think about him. Like,
so did Hitler, though.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, but it's different. It's in a way that I don't see leading to what the it's like it's in a way in which like will not, like, I mean, he doesn't have like the solid politics. Like, he's not a true believer of anything, is what I'm trying to say.
Hitler had a philosophy. Like, well, it's like in the Big Lebowski, say what you want about the tenets of National Socialism, at least it's an ethos. Trump doesn't even have that. Like, Trump does not have an ethos. You know, Trump is like, hey, you know, this sounds cool. Let's roll with it. Oh, the crowd clapped at that. Let's go with it. So, like, if you want to say anything like positive about Hitler in comparison to Trump, is that Hitler actually had a goal in mind and plans, malevolent and despicable as they were, which I don't think you can really say about Donald Trump.
Yeah, like, there are way more scarier
that.
Republicans.
I think that the biggest EK, say that again.
No, I was just saying there are way more scary Republicans out there than Donald J. Trump. Donald J. Trump is just a likable salesman.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Thank God Ron DeSantis is an idiot.
Oh my God. Oh God, it's so funny. I can't get enough of shitting on. I'm so sad that Ron DeSantis is probably going to disappear from the public light after this year, because it's just solid gold watching this guy like licking his lips on the stage and everything and walking in his heels and his whiny voice and his pointing like this. It's just so bad. I've never seen anyone like have that little charisma, and that's saying a lot. Like, politicians are not known for being charismatic, really, other than like Trump or Bernie Sanders or something, but he's just terrible. And the poor guy, I almost feel sorry for him. Like, I almost feel, if he wasn't such a horrible human being, I feel sorry for him, but I do love laughing at him.
It's we've mentioned the DeSantis thing several times, that DeSantis is the guy who could become Hitler. He just is so unlikable that he never can be, but he would totally be competent enough to do it. Whereas Trump is likable enough to like make the situation happen, but like he's not competent enough to pull it off.
Yeah.
I will say, after, you know, we've had this conversation, I genuinely still don't know, because I fully agree with what TJ said about the people around him aren't the same people Hitler had around him. They're clowns. Like, Hitler had competent politicians guiding him and like making shit happen, whereas Trump doesn't have that at all. He has literal fucking, like, I swear to God, Tucker Carlson is going to be in his fucking cabinet. Like that's going to happen, and there's no way that they can pull that off. At the same time, I see the history book, guys. I see the history book 100 years from now, where people are going like, just like we look back at Nazi Germany and go, oh shit, they had Hitler in jail and they let him out and then he got elected, but he didn't even really get, and then he just pulled it off. And it's like, yeah, we had Trump on all these charges. He'll probably get convicted of some of them. And oh, he still became president anyway. And then boom, he pulled it off. And very, very bad things happened. I see both of those scenarios. I think both of those things are true. And I think that the closer we get to November, the more clear it's going to be which one of those is more likely. But really, I don't know. We're going to find out. If you guys have a strong opinion, I want to hear it in the comments, because I'm still undecided. So let me know what you guys think is Donald Trump trying to be a dictator? Like, does he genuinely want to do that? And can he genuinely pull it off? That's what I want to hear from you guys. That's our last episode here for this week. I'd like to apologize to Corona for giving them some of the worst PR they've ever had. Can't imagine anything worse has happened to the name brand of Corona than being on.
No, the virus did that. I think that was. I think that did way more damage.
But thank you guys for being here. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And see you again next time.